I would like to welcome you to the Digital Paper Factory Part 2. Today's session is brought to you by myself, Christoph, and my colleague Travis, as well as David from Citian and Seal Systems. Can you imagine assembling this chair without assembly instructions and drawings? This type of drawing is an essential piece of information which illustrates step-by-step the process for assembling the final product. Without the drawing, it would be near impossible to assemble this type of furniture. Now let's transition into the enterprise world, in which products are not only assembled, but prior to assembly, products are developed, engineered, purchased, and manufactured. In order to document the physical engineering work, drawings are created to show the shape, technical details, and the dimension of a part or assembly. This document, just like our chair assembly instructions, physically describe the product, and it's the key communication between a designer working in CAD and the producer working in SAP. In order to connect this engineering data with SAP, we leverage SAP's Engineering Control Center, which is the central cockpit for engineering and document control users to access the engineering, quality, and CAD data. The SAP Engineering Control Center creates a link between CAD data and SAP's logistical objects, such as materials and bills of materials. Now, in the background, the conversion engine is triggered by a status change, which automatically converts the native CAD drawing to a neutral accessible format, such as a PDF. Now, these PDFs are stamped and watermarked based on the status and uploaded into SAP for the easy accessibility by the downstream departments working in SAP, such as your purchasing or manufacturing or the extended digital supply chain. Now, in our example, we can see on the bottom left-hand side the newly created SolidWorks drawing, which is released. And in the background, the status triggers the conversion engine to automatically convert the drawing to a PDF. The title block on the PDF is also updated accordingly with SAP material master information, document numbers, document descriptions, and other important information. It's completely synchronized between CAD and SAP information. Now within SAP, the output management picks up the drawing, the PDFs, and any other related documents, including BOMs, and merges these documents into a nice package with a cover sheet, stamping, watermarking, and it distributes this package to the appropriate departments working in SAP. Typically, these departments, again, include your production, purchasing, services, or even external suppliers. The output source is quite flexible and can consist of email, web portals, printers, or plotters, as well as tablets, iPads, and other electronic devices. Now, this overview that I had just covered really shows you the basics, but what we will concentrate on for today is the live demonstration on how this output and this conversion and this digital movement of the documents functions within SAP. So at this point, I'll hand over the controls to my colleague Travis, who will run you through a live demonstration of this solution. So Travis, at this point, I'll make you presenter, and you can take it away.
Thank you, Chris. What you see in front of you is the SAP Engineering Control Center interface. As Chris mentioned, this is one interface that the engineering group could use to work with their native CAD data. So for today's demonstration, I am an engineer working within the interface. I have completed my CAD model. So for today, I have this gearbox, which you can also see in the 3D viewer on the bottom right-hand side, and I have completed a drawing within SolidWorks. If I open up the native CAD application, you can see the drawing with ballooning, a bill of material on the top right, as well as a title block with metadata that is filled in from the integration. So for instance, the associated SAP material number, the document description, the document number and version, as well as user information of when it was created and checked in. So now that I have finally checked in this drawing, as an engineer, I need to go through the approval process for my business. So for my use case today, I'm going to be selecting this drawing, this SWU, and moving it through the status network. When I click on the button to click and change the status, you have this little pop-up. This new status will populate with your available options when you go from 20 to another status. For today, I want you to go through the approval request process. When I click apply, the background process moves the status from 20 to 40 in the DMS and applies it to this record. As it does that, there is back-end code that is being triggered that creates a work package in the Citiyon Conversion Engine. The Citiyon Conversion Engine client, which runs the native CAD application, will pick up this work package. It will update the metadata if necessary, and then create any neutral files that I have configured within the environment. For today, I'm going to be waiting for a PDF to be generated. Currently, I just have the original file and then the JPEG. So as this is processing and finishing up, we can refresh the view, and now my PDF has been added to this document information record. So if I click on the PDF, and then I can show it in Viewer, which means in the 3D Visual Enterprise Viewer, or I can just right-click on it and then also go to my native Adobe application, whatever works for you. So one thing you'll note is that there is now a watermark within this PDF called Approval Request. So this is just my status description within SAP, how I have it configured. This can be in German or it could be in English. It all depends on your configuration. This is not language dependent. If I actually zoom in onto the bottom right-hand side of the screen, you can also see a stamp going up the side of the page. This includes the full document information record number, the date in which it was published, and then the current status of the DIR. So now, as an engineering manager, I would then look at this document and approve it within the SAP environment, which would require me to maybe move a status switch, like you see above, or through different workflow activities to then also trigger the status change event. So once I click apply one more time, it will move it from 40 to 80. A new work package is going to be generated behind the scenes, and a new PDF is going to be generated. Now, once this is complete, you will notice that the watermark will be missing because if it's a released document, I know that it can be sent out for further downstream processing. For the approval request, I know that, for instance, sales orders or production orders will not be generated because of this watermark. And now when I right-click and view, I now see the PDF with no watermark. And if I select the bottom right-hand side again, you can now see the status has now been updated to released with a revision spot. So if I actually added a change number to this document information record and I released it, it would get a next revision based on my ECN practice, and it can actually be populated into the stamp. Now with the stamps, you can see that I actually have it as red text, but I can also add images and also barcodes to the stamping. So now you have seen it from an engineering perspective. So maybe as a production engineer, I actually need to create the work instructions. So right now there are no work instructions within this folder. So I'm going to open up my Windows Explorer, and let's just say this is my work instruction. I can click, drag, and drop it to this folder. A new document information record will be generated. So I'm just going to call this work instruction for gear motor. When I do that, a new document information record is generated and the original is saved to the DIR. So now, just like I have done as an engineer, as a production user, I will just move this through the status network. One other thing you can do within this interface is do object linking. So as you have seen with material object links, you can also do that with document information records. So if you want to associate this work instruction to that assembly, you can just drag it and drop it into the assembly. Now I'll ask you if you want to link those two together. I would click yes. So when I close and expand it to refresh, you will now see the work instruction for gear motor I've created is now linked to this assembly. So now I've completed the object linking. I can now go through the status change process. Now, with your environment, if you're working with medical, a lot of times there's FDA requirements which require digital signature. So when I move this to status 40, you will see a digital signature be applied. So now, once I click apply, another pop-up will appear. And this is where I can put in my SAP password information. I could also include a remark comment. Oh, went to my other screen. Went to add to a comment section, as well as my password in here for full digital tracking. Once I click OK, this process will now happen in the background where it moves from 20 to 40, and a new work package will be generated in the system. Now, to give you kind of a quick glimpse at the UI that the client has, the Conversion Engine client, so you currently see my current environment that I'm linked into, the D18 Client 800, and a document is being checked out. Now, it's kind of like a little bit of a pay-per-view where you actually get to see the application being used and the document being pulled into the native application to be converted. Now, this is a fairly large document with a lot of images, pictures, hyperlinks to other documents. So this will take a few seconds to convert. You can actually see the progress at the bottom of the screen working through each individual page. So another piece for FDA requirements that this has been configured for is to include a signature page. So from the digital signature that I just created, I can also create a smart form to be downloaded as a PDF and associated with this document and attach it to the front of this document. Now, this doesn't mean I can't do it for engineering documents. I'm just using this for my example today. So now if I go back to the Engineering Control Center interface, close the pop-up, you will now see the PDF generated, and now I will click View. And now you can see the signature page for the newly generated work instruction, and you can see my digital signature down below here. Now, if I did add comments, I could have an additional column here that would read from the comments and add it to the smart form. This can include your logo and other additional information that is pertinent for your company. Now, if I scroll down, I did not stamp this particular document. However, just give you, like, for instance, just what a template would look like when you pull it across and generate a PDF. So now as a production user, I am now finished my job as an engineer. Everything has been finished and is ready for the rest of the downstream process. So now I will hand it over to David to show you the output management solution.
Thanks, Travis. And so we will step out of the Engineering Control Center and pretty much look at the document management system in a different view. Here I have the standard SAP transaction for DMS to be able to look at a document record or to change one. And we've already taken Travis's files, the generated PDFs, and we've added them to a document record here. So we'll enter the document record. And you can see at the bottom here we have a PDF. This represents the PLM drawing that Travis was working on, as well as the work instructions. And we do have a couple of JPEGs. These are generated automatically by the conversion engine to provide thumbnails when working with document management and within materials management. So here, if I were to open this up real quick, we'll show that the PDF is pretty much the same thing Travis had, and also contains different stamping information. So the stamps are dynamic, as Travis demonstrated, based on the situation that you're in, the status that the document record is in, the process that you're kicking off in SAP. Those stamps can be replaced and renewed to represent current information, which could be useful when sending these documents out to customers, when viewing them internally to make sure that you have a paper trail. And you do see Travis's stamp here, as well as some new stamping information and a different stamp. This test is not the correct text, but it should be released. In this case, we just close this PDF. We don't need it. And we've taken this document record and we've added it to a material. So our goal is to bring it to a production order. And in this case, we have a top-level material here. This is just standard SAP for the materials management, where I can go in and have a look at the documents that are linked here. So we have a scooter attached to this, as well as that equipment attachment that Travis sent over to us. So this is the document record information, which links into the DMS and provides us a dynamic link to those files. So with document control, doing it this way, you only have to produce the paper or the documents, the drawings once, and you can link them pretty much anywhere within SAP. In our example today, we're going to go into a production order. This could also be linked into other SAP modules, such as plant maintenance, purchasing, sales orders, quality notifications, pretty much anywhere that SAP accepts these types of links. Yeah, so we're going to go into the production order. Here we have our top level material. If I could drill into that, it would go into the materials management, show me the document records again that I've already shown you. We also have operations in here. This is specific to a production order. So when you're producing parts, manufacturing or assembling, you have step-by-step instructions, and that's how SAP provides it to you with this operation overview, where you can see all the steps involved, and of course in German or English or Spanish or French or any language that SAP supports. So with our production order, we're going to print this out or deliver it to the facility. Normally with SAP, you would just hit the print button. Same thing with Seal. At this point, you would receive just the paperwork. This is essentially the SAP standard. So you have your production order forms, you have a time ticket, pick list, whatever belongs to that production work instruction. Those things are then sent out as a single form, and the planner or the production facility would have to go into the material, pull out documents and drawings related to that to be able to produce the work. In our case, we have attached the Seal software to this. So you have an add-on with Seal Systems that allows the collection of the forms and the attachments. And I'm not going to get into it technically, but if you wanted to look into it yourselves on how to do something similar, take a look at basically the list control configuration. Here we have, as I mentioned, the forms, but we also have document distribution. And through some ABAP programming, one could create a very simple output collection so that if you had a couple PDFs on a few orders and it wasn't time critical, you could even design something yourselves to basically pull files together. But with Seal, we've added pretty advanced software behind this to be able to filter out based on plant, users, the types of orders that we're dealing with, to really drill down into the material structure, retrieve different types of files, and do conversions and everything else, and take it away from the user's workstation. So in this case, I'm just going to hit print, and it's telling me copies are printed. We use this all the time. And once I save this production order, it's going to take me out, and it's going to take give me a screen. This is a Seal screen. So normally a user might not see this. This screen is something that comes up either for a super user if you have to make changes to the production package before it goes out. In our case, we're going to see this. So this is the list of objects that we identified. These are the forms. So you might have a time ticket. Double-clicking just gives you a preview. You can see there's some generic barcodes. There is a number behind this. Seal Systems takes care of barcodes in the output management software. So we'll be able to convert those into real scannable barcodes, 2D and 3D, or the QR codes and the different types of matrix barcodes. Here we see our document record that Travis provided us, and we are printing the PDFs only. The system is automatically configured to take PDFs and ignore the JPEGs, as those are thumbnails and not really useful when we're sending them to the plant floor. We can also uncheck some of these if we didn't want a few of these here, and as well as add additional documents through either the document management search, or we can even go into a product structure browser, pull in additional materials, equipment, whatever we need to be able to produce this package. So in this case, I think I've got a lot of paperwork, so I'm going to uncheck some of these. And got a little bit of a delay on that. And then my next step here would be to identify where I want to print it out. If I'm going to my screen here, I'm just bringing up a PDF on my desktop, or I could go out to a portal, which might be a kiosk sitting at the work center in the production facility, or it might be through an email or a printer. Those are all possible with the output software. And here I'm just going to print this job. And what happens is these items, these objects that have been identified are collected The workstation is free at this point. So you see it's been transferred to the output system. I'm free to go on to other work. So I can go to another production order. I can do a batch output of many production orders. I can switch over to purchasing. Whatever I need to do, the output system is dealing with this in the background on a server outside of the user's workspace. You can see that it's producing some things here. The system's reporting that it's dealing with these files. And in a second here, it'll bring up the result, which would be everything that's collected. So in this case, it's getting these files, converting them into PDF, adding up-to-minute stamps and watermark information on them. So removing those test stamps and things and putting other stamps on there. And in this case, we're going to get that PDF in a second. It's probably a larger package than, there we go. So we have a cover sheet that comes along with this. This is the completed package of 36 pages. Essentially on this cover sheet, we have information about where it came from, who produced it. And if we look at this in a whole page, we also see the list of objects that we brought in. Now this is SAP information, is metadata properties from the document records and the document management system. This is all produced in a table of contents like this. There's many different types of table of contents we can produce, including clickable links, which is much more useful when you're working with a tablet or in the digital space. Just printing this out, though, we get to look at this. There's the barcodes that have been converted into something meaningful, that's scannable. And as we scroll through this, we'll get past quite a lot of these pages, we'll eventually get to Travis's example. And here we see the stamp is changed. We did overwrite Travis's stamp a little bit, but we have additional stamping information on the side, so watermarks that can be applied to protect these documents when they leave the field or when they leave the system and go out in the field. And then here, for example, are the work instructions, which we've married our logos. This is, again, us stamping on top of the document, which can be placed anywhere. And as Travis mentioned, you can have graphics or text, different colored types of stamps and watermarks in this package. So this would be a print example or a PDF, maybe sent out to a network location. In addition to that, you can produce a web page, a portal. This can be emailed to somebody, which contains thumbnails and links to the documents themselves. It can report back when it's been seen and can be deleted by the operator as well. Since we're talking about production, just one quick note, we also do a kiosk system for production orders where you can look at drawings and produce parts at your machine. So these are for CNC machines, for example, where I'm producing parts of a scooter, how many I'm producing, what kind of time it took to produce that, if there's any scrap and those kind of things. So this is aimed at the touchscreen world and having that digital factory running. So I'm going to turn it back over to Chris and let you guys finish this up. If anybody has any questions, please do put them in the panel there. Chris, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you, David. CDON and SEAL both concentrate on this document publishing and conversion space, and we've actually formed a partnership. So CDON focusing with this engineering SAP know-how on the conversion to the neutral formats, and SEAL really focusing on the output or downstream distribution, but the solutions are now supported by both CDON and SEAL. So that's what brings us here together in this session. Thank you all, and bye for now.